The US has pulled out of formal peace talks between Ukraine and Russia. And for more on this breaking news, we now speak to SABC News correspondent Nick Harper, and he joins us now from Washington. Nick, breaking news there coming out from the US today, also quite important. The US saying it will no longer play a role in the peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. What do we know so far?
Yeah, importantly, the US saying it will no longer mediate in any peace talks. The US State Department's spokesperson, Tammy Bruce, was speaking about this to reporters. She said it was now up to both sides. They needed to reach an agreement, she said, on their own. So it is certainly a change of US approach. However, they are saying that they remain engaged in trying to find a peaceful solution to the conflict. They just do not want to be the people who are speaking directly to Ukraine and to Russia to try and get them around the negotiating table. Tammy Bruce followed up with other comments saying, "We are not going to fly around the world at a drop of a hat to mediate meetings." She said now is the time that they, meaning Russia and Ukraine, need to present and develop concrete ideas about how this conflict is going to end. So the US still committed to the process, but it is a change of approach, saying that they will no longer be the middleman trying to mediate this process.
And Nick, one would ask, why the U-turn? And, can we attribute this to the deal which has been signed by the US and Ukraine when it comes to, of course, that minerals deal we saw this week?
Well, I think it really comes down to frustration. Remember, Donald Trump, before he returned to the White House, said that he would get a peace deal sorted within 24 hours. He then changed that to several weeks. We are now about 3.5 months into his second term, and we obviously do not have a peace agreement. He has been working on this shuttle diplomacy, speaking to the Russians, speaking to the Ukrainians, trying to get them moving in the same direction. And although we've heard noises from both Kiev and Moscow that they are determined to try and have some sort of ceasefire, they have not been able to negotiate the terms of a full-term ceasefire and complete settlement to this conflict. And I think that frustration has clearly been growing in some of the comments that the US president has put out, speaking badly of both President Putin and President Volodymyr Zelensky, saying that both of them, on different occasions, just didn't seem that serious about trying to get peace for this conflict. But as you noted, that minerals deal that was signed in the last 24 hours ago, it's very interesting, the timing that the US has now decided it no longer wants to be the mediator, just hot off the heels of having that agreement signed with Ukraine. And of course, that was something that Donald Trump was determined to try and get. Ukraine holds about 5% of those important rare earth materials, things that go towards helping to build mobile phones, electric vehicles. The US simply doesn't have the ability to get those minerals here in the United States. It needs to look to other countries to get it. So now having that joint venture partnership with Ukraine, where the US can extract and benefit from those materials, will go a long way to helping the United States in the future. So it has that in place, and now it says it's stepping back from mediating the talks. I mean, the timing is very interesting when you consider Donald Trump really did want that minerals deal, but it was unclear if he really did want peace in Ukraine.
Certainly, and Nick, and one would say, what does this mean then for the war between Ukraine and Russia, particularly when you make the comments coming out from the Trump administration saying that the two warring sides must now find each other?
That's right. They're really saying it is up to them. The US putting the ball very much in Kiev and Moscow's court. But the problem is that really those two sides who have been engaged in this intense battle for more than 3 years are very unlikely without a mediator to be able to come to some sort of settlement. Remember, territory and sovereignty is very much a live issue here. Russia has managed to capture about 20% of Ukraine's territory. That includes the annexation of Crimea back in 2014, on top of the territory that it's captured during this 3-year conflict. Up until now, the Trump administration has said that it sides with Moscow, saying that Russia should keep that land. Of course, Ukraine absolutely wants that land back. It is part of, they say, their sovereign right, those integrity of territorial borders. And without that, they are unwilling to negotiate any sort of long-term peace agreement. So now it really comes down to who's going to fill this role of mediator, who's going to fill this vacuum if the United States steps back. The European Union could be in line to stepping forward. They, of course, are determined to try and get peace in Ukraine, but having the EU in a mediation role is unlikely to be something that would sit very well with the Kremlin. So it's really a question of where things go from here, but finding peace will be a lot harder without the United States as the mediator.